What's up guys, Marco here, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you 45 chord types. I'm going to build the chord with this lovely fretboard so that you can learn the notes and the chord shape. And then of course I'm going to play the chords on the guitar. Now this is an update to a video that I recorded 2 years ago called All Chord Types. Now there we had 22, 23 chord types, the most popular. Today we have 45. We're gonna have way more chords in this video, and I'm gonna be using the diagrams as well, so hopefully it's going to be even easier for you to learn these chord types. All the examples will be played in a key of C major, and then I'm gonna play different chord shapes on the guitar. Now the chord number 1, the mother of all chords, the major chord, is made up of just 3 notes: the root note, the third, and the fifth, the most simple and beautiful chord that we have in music. Now the chord number 2 is the sus2 chord. Now we can take this major third and bring it down to a major second to build the suspended 2 chord. So just the root note, the major second, and the fifth. Next chord is the sus4 chord. From a major chord, I'm going to bring this major third up to a perfect fourth to build the C sus4 chord. The suspended chords are not major or minor, they are just suspended. The next one is not really a chord, is the 5 chord, played with just the root note and the fifth. In this case, just the C and the G. We call this the power chord. We usually play it like this. Next chord type, the 6th chord. In this case, the C6. We are playing a major chord plus the 6th. In this case is the note A. We usually get rid of the 5th and we play the note C, E, and A. Most of the time we can play the C and the E as well. This is quite of a common chord shape. Next chord is the 6-9 chord, which is basically just like the 6th chord, but we're going to add the 9th as well. So in this case, we could take the C, which is the root note, up to the 9th and play the note D. This is a beautiful sounding chord. Now let's change chord family. The major 7 chord, we have the root note, the third, and the fifth, but also the major 7th. Beautiful romantic chord. The next one is quite unusual, is the major 7 sharp 5 chord, which is basically just a major 7 chord but with the sharp 5. It's quite interesting chord. Moving up, the major 7 sharp 11 chord. Now this is really interesting. We have a C major 7 chord, which is of course a 4 notes chord plus the sharp 11, which in this case is the F sharp we can play right here. Next chord, one of my favorite chords, the add 9 chord, played with the root note, the third, and the fifth, plus the major 9. So it's a 4 notes chord. Beautiful, quite used in pop music. Next chord is the major 9 chord, which is very similar to the add 9 chord. The major 9 chord is played with the root note, the major third, and the fifth. So just like a major chord, but we also need the major 7 and the major 9. Now we usually play this chord like this with the root note, the major third, the major 7, and the major 9. So when you have chords, for example, that have 4, 5 or more notes, we usually get rid of the 5th. So this is the C major 9 chord. The next chord is the C major 13. Now this one has quite a lot of notes. We have the root note, the major third and the perfect 5th, but also the major 7th, the major 9, and of course the 13th, which is the note A. And we can play the root note of the major 7 here, and then we can leave this one and play the E, which is the third. Now let's change chord family. We have the minor chord, played with the root note, the minor third, and the perfect 5th. So we don't need this. Just a very simple chord, the minor chord, in this case the C minor chord. Now we have pretty much the same chord types. So we have the C minor 6, which is played with the root note, the minor third, perfect 5th, but also the major 6th. So we usually play this chord like this. We have the root note, minor third, 6th, root note, and 5th. Now, next chord is the C minor 6, 9, which is just like the C minor 6. We just gotta add the 9th, and we can do it right here. We're gonna put the D here, and we have the C minor 6, 9. Now the C minor 7 chord, played with the root note, the minor third, the perfect 5th, but also the minor 7, which in this case is the B flat. Now we usually play this chord either like this. So you have root note, minor third, minor 7, and root note again. If you want to play the 5th as well, you could do the root note, the 5th, the minor 7, and the minor third, which is an E flat, and or D sharp. Pretty, popular chord on the guitar. You can put a bar chord right here and just play the whole thing with a bar chord. Next chord is the C minor 7 flat 5. So we have the root note, the minor third, which is the E flat. We have it here. And we have the flat 5. So we're going to lower the G down to a G flat. And then we have the minor 7, which is the B flat. So we have root note, minor third, flat 5, and minor 7. Guys, let's take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Skillshare, the online learning community with thousands of awesome classes. Now, I love Skillshare because there are so many different cool things that you can learn on the website. And of course, it's pretty cool. You have a lot of different things on the main page, recommended for you. Of course, I got photography and other things. And you got some, recommended lists as well. But if you just browse, you see that, you have a lot of different sections and topics. Of course, you got music, which is pretty cool. For me, like lifestyle and productivity, absolutely awesome classes. Marketing as well. And of course, film and video, photography as well. In fact, I was actually checking this pretty awesome course. It's called iPhone Photography, How to Take Pro Photos on Your iPhone by Dale McManus. And, it's a pretty cool class. I know that we take photos all the time with our phone, but sometimes you can watch a simple class like this one, just a few lessons, a few minutes, and then you learn so many different things that you can change on your iPhone and how to take better photos. And it's pretty cool. You don't have to spend a lot of time. Look at this, 102,000 students I mean, this class is absolutely awesome. You can get this class for free for a limited period of time. You can actually get all the classes on Skillshare for free for a limited period of time. The first 1,000 people who click the link down below can access a full Skillshare membership for free for a limited period of time. And then if you like it, you can sign up for less than $10 a month. So thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. The next chord is really interesting. It's a C minor major 7 chord, which is played with the root note, the minor third, and also the perfect fifth. But we have the major 7, so we have the B natural, right? So it's a pretty interesting chord to play on the guitar, and it's usually, you know, played a lot in jazz music. It's not like a chord that you play in pop music. Quite interesting though. The next chord is the minor add 9 chord, which is basically just a minor chord plus the major 9. Now the next one is super popular, the minor 9 chord, played with the root note, the minor third and the fifth, but also the minor 7, which is the B flat, and the major 9. We usually get rid of the fifth and we play just the root note, minor third, minor 7 and major 9. Now the next one is a chord that I never really played and used, is the minor 9 major 7 chord. It's kind of a tricky chord. We have the root note, the minor third and the perfect fifth. But we also need the major 7, which is the note B, and the major 9 as well. So we could play this chord like this. Now C minor 11, quite a beautiful chord. It's a 6 notes chord. We have the root note, the minor third and the perfect fifth, but also the minor 7, which is always a B flat, the major 9, and of course the perfect 11, which is the note F. The next one is the C minor 13, which is just like the C minor 11 plus the 13th. So it's a chord made of 7 notes. And we usually take the 11th and we move it up to the 13th, which is the note A. Now, changing to the dominant chords, we have the C7, which is pretty cool. We just have the root note, the major third, the perfect fifth, and of course the minor 7. We usually get rid of the G and we play the B flat right here. And then we have the C here. The next one is the C7 sus4, which means that if we take the major third of this chord and we bring it up to a perfect fourth, we can actually play what is called a C7 sus4. The next one is the 7 flat 5 chord. So we have basically the same C7 that we were playing, C dominant 7, and we lowered the G, which is the fifth, down to a flat 5, which is a G flat. So we have root note, major third, flat 5, minor 7, and then we have another 5 here that we can remove, and that's it. We also have the dominant 7 sharp 5 chord, which is basically the same thing as the flat 5. We're just gonna bring the fifth up to a sharp 5. Now Now let's just quickly talk about alternate chords, which are chords played with 2 or more alternate notes. For example, the dominant 7, sharp 5, sharp 9 chord. So you have the root note, the major third, and the minor 7, just like a dominant 7 chord, but the ninth is sharp, so the D sharp, and the fifth is also sharp, so the G sharp. Next chord is the dominant 7 flat 9, which is pretty cool. We have a dominant 7 chord, so root note, third, fifth, which we are not playing right now, and the minor 7, so 4 notes, plus the flat 9, which in this case for the C is a D flat. We get rid of this sharp 5, we don't need it. It's a beautiful, beautiful sounding chord, which works really well in a minor chord progression. And of course, we can have the dominant 7 sharp 9, which is just like the flat 9. So we take the flat 9 and we bring it up to a major 9 and a sharp 9. We also have the dominant 7 sharp 11, which is basically, when you look at it, it's quite similar to the flat 5. For example, if I have a dominant 7 chord, I have the root note, major third, perfect fifth, and minor 7 chord. I can play the F sharp, and in this case I have the root note, major third, sharp 4, sharp 11, and minor 7. Finally, the most bluesy chord, the C9, played with the root note, major third, perfect fifth, minor 7, and major 9. We need this minor 7 to be a B flat. Beautiful sounding chord. Sometimes we can also add the fifth right here, and we have the most bluesy chord ever. We can also play the C9 sus4, so we can get rid of this third and play the fourth, which is the note F. The next chord is the C9 flat 5. I never really played this chord, which is of course just the C9 chord, but with a flat 5. So if the G is the fifth, we can lower this G down to a G flat, and we have a C9 flat 5. And of course, we can also have the C9 sharp 5. So we bring the G up to the G sharp. Now, the next one is the 11th chord, which is a dominant chord. So we need the root note, major third, and perfect fifth. We also need the minor 7, the major 9, and the perfect 11. So we do have quite a lot of notes in this chord. Or we could also play the F here and the major third right here with the open string. Another dominant chord, which is the 13th chord. Same thing, guys. When you have the 11th, the 13th, we have quite a lot of notes because we have the root note, the major third, the fifth, the minor 7. We have the major 9, the perfect 11, and the major 13. So of course we can't play all these notes on the guitar. So we can play the C13 in this case like this. Next one is the 13th sus4 chord. Crazy sounding chord. I know this shape, which is pretty popular on the guitar. We need the B flat. So in this case, we need the root note, that's for sure, and then the minor 7, and then the major 9, the 4th, and then the major 13th. We also have 13 flat 9, which is basically a 13 chord, but with the flat 9. So with the D flat, we got quite a lot of notes in this one, and it does hold quite a lot of tension. And the last few chords, the augmented chord, which is played with the root note, major third, and augmented fifth, so sharp 5. The diminished chord, which is played with the root note, the minor third, and the diminished fifth, we usually play like this. So you have the minor third, in this case is the E flat, and then the diminished fifth, which is the G flat. So root note, minor third, diminished fifth. Then we have the diminished seventh chord, which is just like the diminished chord plus the diminished seventh, which in this case is the B double flat. So you got root note, minor third, diminished fifth, and diminished seventh. I'm also going to throw in a few more chords. For example, the slash chord, which is a chord played with a different bass note. For example, C major over G. So the lowest note of the G major is not the root note C, but the fifth of the chord, which is in this case the note G. Also, a C major over E, which is also quite popular. For example, a C major chord played with the root note third and fifth, but with the third on the bass. And of course, the last chord, my favorite, which is the open triad. I like to play these chords with just the root note and the third. And I don't know how you're gonna call this. It's definitely a major chord in this case, the C major chord, but it's played without the fifth, just the root note and the third, or the root note and the minor third if you want to make this a minor chord, so a C minor chord. So quite a few chords. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and let me know which one is your favorite. I'm gonna leave you to check and practice some of these chords. Let me know if you like the lesson, and I'll talk to you soon.